everyone, and welcome to another review from Colour with Claire. So today I'm reviewing the Alice in Wonderland colouring book by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. Now I've had this book for at least a year, it must be, or at least the best part of a year, and for some reason I haven't got around to reviewing it. It seems to have slipped through the cracks somehow, but it's an absolutely beautiful book, as Jasmine's books all are. So I've coloured a couple of pages in it, and I guess now is a great time to do a review so you can see what it looks like when it's coloured. So yes, this book is exactly the same size, shape, format as Jasmine's previous books. She did the original Jasmine Becket-Griffith colouring book, then she did the Halloween book, and then the Mermaid book, and now we have the Alice in Wonderland. So exactly the same as all the previous books. It's the same publisher, so we've got the same paper, the same kind of cover, everything. So as you can see, we've got Alice on the front there, and then on the back there is a few thumbnails from inside, and these are Jasmine's original paintings, or part of them anyway. There are 55 different pages. It says you can bring your own colour to the pool of tears, the Mad Hatter's infamous tea party, the frog footman and some looking glass insects, paint the roses red, or invite the wrath of the Red Queen by making them blue, yellow, lilac, any shade you like. So it says here that it's aimed at grown-ups, but it's absolutely suitable for all ages, as most colouring books are. It has detailed intricacies and broad patches, so it's a variety of different intricacies and different levels of detail. So let's just get straight to it and have a look. Now, the book does have a removable dust jacket, as you can see, and on the inside of the dust jacket here on this flap we have all about Jasmine Becket-Griffith. I'm sure you'll all know of her by now. Absolutely fantastic painter, artist, and she has had her artworks converted into line art for colouring books. So we've got an introduction from Jasmine, and then we're into the actual illustrations themselves. Now I'm not entirely sure what binding this is. It looks to be perfect bound, but it does lay nice and flat, which is great. It's not like any of the illustrations actually go into the spine anyway, they're all bordered. So that's, you don't have to worry about that, but it does lay fairly flat all the way through. So as with all of Jasmine's books, you will have the illustration on this side, and then you'll have something about the background of the illustration on this side. So this one is called Alice in a Bosch Wonderland. It was done in 2011. It was originally a 16 by 20 inch acrylic painting on panel, which is most of Jasmine's work is acrylic. And then it just tells you a little bit about where the inspiration came from for this particular illustration, and you've got that on every single page. So I think that's fantastic for sort of getting behind the scenes, getting into Jasmine's mind a little bit, and finding out sort of where these ideas came from. So again, we've got Alice and the bourgeois princess, don't know what that's saying. So yeah, some of the illustrations have more than one person, and some of them are quite large, focused in and simplistic, like this one. So this is called Keeping Up. We've got the Dali-esque melting clock there. We've got Daydreaming Wonderland. So you can see we've got the Cheshire Cat hiding in the bushes here. Lots of foliage and background to do on that one, so it might take you a little bit longer to do that one. This is called Looking Glass Insects. So this is a fun painting that was part of her Illusions and Allegories show at the Corey Helford Gallery in Los Angeles. So I actually had the opportunity to meet Jasmine last year at the Colouring Heaven event in Bath, and she's absolutely lovely. She's, you know, incredibly talented, as we know, and she said that she's travelling, I think it's something like 250 days out of the year or something like that. She's constantly away from home, constantly promoting her art and doing shows and things like that. So when you're reading through these, you will see that some of them were created for different galleries, you know, different sort of events and things like that that she's taken them to. So yeah, it's really nice to get a look behind the scenes. So here's where I spilt my tea. Here's where I swatched my colours, and here is the page that I've just recently completed. This is called Tea Party Treats. It was originally done in 2011. The original is a small oval painting that she did for her Alice Enchanted solo show at the Pop Gallery at Disney Springs in Florida. So yeah, used Prismacolors for this piece. Bit of blending solution here and there, and some black Posca to fill in the back. Now, fun fact, this girl was actually long-haired. Most of Jasmine's illustrations are long, flowing hair girls, but this one, if you can see these two this blue and this pink sort of frosting in the background, that was actually part of her hair coming down, and the hair was also much wider here, so it took up most of this black section. Now what I decided to do was give her a crop pixie cut. I just thought it really suited the shape of the face, and it would look, you know, a bit different and a bit quirky to having the usual flowing beautiful hair that Jasmine's illustrations do. So I did convert these sections of hair into frosting, which I thought went quite well with the typical look and colours of the piece. Yeah, I'm really quite proud of how that one's come out, to be honest. I think that the Prismacolors work absolutely fantastic on this paper. Polychromos and harder pencils don't seem to, and I'll show you an illustration a bit further in the book where I started it with polychromos and I just couldn't get them to sit right on the paper. Don't know if you've had that experience with this paper. This one's called Painting the Roses Red, so she's literally painting them with a paintbrush. We've got the Cheshire Cat hiding in the foliage again. We have Cheshire Cat Cuddle. Now, if you can see a little bit of imprint on here, it's from the text onto the next page. Don't worry about that. It's because I forgot to put some cushioning paper underneath when I was colouring that one. What you can do very quickly and easily, if this happens to you, is just get an eraser and just rub it out. So don't worry if that happens to you. It happens to me all the time because I always forget to put some cushioning paper underneath, but it erases really easily. So Cheshire Cat Cuddle. Then we've got the Cheshire Clock. I'll turn this one around. You can see we've got the Cheshire Cat with the clock behind it. Again, lots of detail on the fur there that you can colour in. Alice in a Bosch Landscape. I think that very first one was called something similar, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, Alice in a Bosch Wonderland. Bosch is a German word, isn't it? Alice in a Hieronymus Bosch inspired landscape. He's a 15th century surrealist. I knew I'd heard that name somewhere before, but I'm sure it's a German name. Maybe not. Maybe not. So yeah, again, lots of details going on in the background there. We've got Alice in a Pool of Tears. So lots of waves and opportunities to colour water. We've got the White Rabbit Resurrected. So here she is with the skeleton of the White Rabbit. Very sort of odd and slightly macabre, but that kind of deliciously dark and gothic theme is Jasmine Becket all over. So Alice's Tea Party, again, another really zoomed in one. Probably quite easy and quick to do, really, these ones. Alice in Fragonard's Swing. Who is Fragonard? Jean-Honoré Fragonard is the epitome of French Rococo painting. Well, you learn something new, don't you, every day? This is the one that I did with the polychromos, or started anyway. It's called Alice in Absinthe. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see really on camera. The cogs and the brown bits turned out okay. Alice herself, okay. There are some areas of patchiness on here, but it's the actual, where I did the absinthe and tried to layer up her dress and things, just went completely wrong and started actually ripping the paper. So as we all know, polychromos are quite a hard lead pencil, and I did try and layer very lightly, as I always recommend to do with polychromos, but it just didn't seem to want to take those layers and keep it blended without actually starting to rip the paper. So I'm going to bring it up to camera so you can see what I mean actually by this. Let me zoom in. So you can see there are areas of her dress that have started to rip. This area on her arm here, even around her face, is very speckly, and then especially here there is absolutely no more room to play on there whatsoever. So I'm not even sure whether I'm going to complete this. I might have a go at finishing the rest of it with Prismacolor or something soft like that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that yet. It sort of put me off finishing that one, but it would have been a lovely illustration when finished. It's just, yeah, it doesn't seem to take the polys that well, unless, you know, it's me doing something wrong, which is, you know, quite possible. So the paper it's absolutely gorgeous paper, that's the thing. It's really thick. It has a perfect amount of tooth to it. And it has kind of an off-white, ivory, vintagey, creamy kind of look. It's not bright white. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to play with polychromos that well. So this is White Queen. It's another oval one, this time quite long on the page. Then we've got the Red Queen. Then we've got Alice and Lewis. So Lewis Carroll, of course, her creator. It's quite funny actually that she's on, it looks like a psychiatrist's couch. So it looks like he's therapizing her. Alice and the Bosch Monsters. We've got Bosch again. Nothing really new said about him there. I'm going to have to look up this artist. This is Alice in a Dali dress. So you can see, again, Salvador Dali, very surreal, very sort of everything's dripping and melting. We've got Alice in a Van Eyck portrait. So again, who is Van Eyck? Jean Van Eyck or Jan Van Eyck from the distant year 1434. So really, really long time ago. I love the plague mask. That is such a, I just like the whole kind of gothic aesthetic of it. Yeah, great illustration. Alice in a Davinci Portrait. So you can see that the girl's face here, Alice's face, is completely different to Jasmine's normal style of big-eyed, pouting, sort of solemn-looking beauties. This one very much has that Da Vinci Mona Lisa look to it. So it basically is a play on the Mona Lisa, I think. I'm sure she's probably written it in here, has she? Reminiscent of Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, Alice is looking very mysterious with her Mona Lisa smile. So yeah, it's great kind of conglomeration of things there, if that's the word. Alice in a Dali dream. So again, we've got the melting clocks and things like that. We've got Alice in a Van Gogh nocturne. So the starry sky, Van Gogh starry sky, starry night, sorry. I'm no good at this, am I? So yeah, again, it's sort of meshed those two together. Alice in Monet's Water Lilies. So meshing up the artist with Alice again. We've got Alice and the Scythy Toves. So I've not really ever got into Alice in Wonderland properly. So a lot of these creatures, I don't really know what they are. I don't think I've even seen the film, to be honest. But I do like the whole, you know, the whole thing of it, the whole princess sort of thing of it, if she's a princess. Not really, is she? Anyway, you know what I mean. Alice in a Klimt dream. So this is Gustav Klimt, who I have heard of. His portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer has a bit of a Queen of Hearts nod. In the original painting, I overlaid the shiny bits with gold leaf paint. Oh, that would look fantastic. So that's another thing about this, is that you can actually take these titles, Google them, and you can see on Google Images Jasmine's original painting. So if you're ever stuck for colours or where to put your shading, highlights, shadows, things like that, or you just want to see what the original looked like, you can always add these titles into Google and have a look. Loving the background here. We've got this really creepy sort of The Grudge looking figure going on in the background there. Alice in the Earthly Garden of Delights, or Garden of Earthly Delights. Yeah, again, there's lots of gardens and foliage. Obviously, Alice in Wonderland, she's travelling through the gardens and things, so you're going to have a lot of that in this book. Alice with the Dormouse. I've heard of the Dormouse with the little teacup. Loads of different flowers there. We've got Alice and the Fawn, so kind of like Bambi. And we've got Alice through a Vermeer glass. So Vermeer, again, another artist, and this is themed kind of from that artist's sort of style. I did, when I met Jasmine at the event, get one of her pin badges. Can I find it? Yes. And the pin badge that I picked out of the blind bag was this one. It's the Girl with a Pearl Earring, which is also a Vermeer, which is actually has a little bit of pearl inlaid into the earring, which is really, really nice. I'm so glad I picked that one out of the bag. If you haven't got any of Jasmine's pins and you do like collecting little things like this, they're fantastic quality. They're really quite large, and they actually have 2 fasteners on the back rather than 1, and they look really sturdy as well. So yeah, if you want to start collecting her pins, really recommend them. So yeah, Alice through a Vermeer glass. Then we've got Alice's advice. So it just looks that she's sat there like, well, I was going to say Denise Roberts, Agony Aunt, but I don't think anybody over the pond is going to have a clue what I'm talking about. Yeah, so just sat with a cup of tea, probably therapizing you this time. I said that word, that's an odd word, therapizing, isn't it? Alice's Prize, another piece that started off as a relatively small and simple illustration for one of the cards in her Alice deck. But again, so many of her followers asked her to offer prints that I upsized her to make a lovely full-sized print. So, it's a really interesting one, that one. You've got this, what is it? Dodo. I cheated and looked. It's a dodo, and it looks as if she's feeding it candy corn or something. Maybe. No, it's a thimble. Never get it right, do I? This is Alice and the Flowers. It's inspired by the chapter in Lewis Carroll's original story, Alice in the Garden of Live Flowers. So I guess that all of these are alive and sort of pulsing around her. We've got Alice Dreaming, which is a beautiful illustration. She's got her eyes closed and it's just very peaceful. We've got Alice and the Queen of Hearts. So very strict looking queen over there. This would be a fun one to colour. We've got Alice falling down through the rabbit hole, of course, and all the different bits and bobs and things that are falling down with her. We've got Alice and the Pig. Didn't know there was a pig. Apparently, in chapter 6 of the original Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, it's called Pig and Pepper. So maybe I should have read the book. Alice and the Mushrooms. This one, again, very, very simple. Wouldn't take that long really to do or that much effort to think about. Very large open spaces. We've got Alice and Humpty Dumpty. He is looking rather evil on this, isn't he? I'd be quite worried if I came across him on my daily walk. So yeah, she says it here. I'm not sure whether Humpty Dumpty has a sinister look on his face or he just wants a cuddle. I wouldn't be going near that for a cuddle, really, to be honest. Then we've got a few of these small kind of thumbnail pieces which you will find throughout Jasmine's other books. We've got Faces of Fairy 238, 232, 173 and 141. So these pieces began as custom painting. The client decided they'd like her to paint a dark-haired Alice with a dark floral caterpillar theme, but you can colour her however you like. So yeah, these are just sort of zoomed in pieces if you want something quick and simple to colour. Alice Down a Darley Rabbit Hole and Alice Enchanted. These are kind of like oversized bookmarks, these. Again, we've got Alice in a Bruegel Vision and Alice Descending, so going down that rabbit hole. So again, something a little bit quicker that you don't have to sort of dive into an entire page. This is Alice and the Mad Hatter. So it looks like we're at the tea party. I love these little cogs and things that are appearing throughout the book. Oh, Alice and Las Meninas, La Meninas, I don't know. Where is it from? It's called The Handmaidens by 17th century painter Diego Velázquez, or Velázquez, the epitome of Spanish Baroque, apparently. I really do need to sort of get up on my art history. I've got no clue about any of this. Alice and the Starry Night, again, zoomed in, smaller, more compact, easier for you to colour quickly. Alice and the Audubon birds, so again with the dodos and things, the flamingo. Apparently there's a hedgehog in here as well. Where are you, hedgehog? It's there, look. And we have Alice and the Frog Footman, which is really fun. And I've never seen anything like this before. The frog wearing the wig and the whole garb. Then we've got Alice and the Dormouse. Looks like they're having the tea party again. And that's the last one. So that seems to have taken a really long time to actually look through. And the amount of detail that's on every single colouring page is so good and so much. And there's so many pages, it just really screams value for money to me when you get a book that is just so full of colouring hours, you know, potential colouring hours that you've got here. So the prices change all the time, which is why I don't really mention prices in reviews anymore, but I do always put the link in the description so that you can click through to Amazon or wherever it's selling and see what the current price of the book is. It's usually around about £10, maybe up to £15, something like that. But again, I do think it really is value for money and it's well worth it, especially if you do like the Alice in Wonderland theme and you like Jasmine's illustrations in general. So it's a great addition to her collection of colouring books. I can't wait to see what she comes out with next and the next theme of her books. I really hope you've enjoyed this review. I'm sorry it took so long to come to you. It's just, like I said, one of those that slipped through the net. But yes, thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.